Hi, David. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good too, thanks. I'm Amanda from Brazil. I'm gonna talk to you about the movie for streaming here in Brazil. Do you know?
Yeah, I heard it's gonna run on Look.
Yes,
I
true.
don't know the platform myself. We don't have it here, but I heard it's a platform in Brazil. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So I watched the movie already. Congratulations for your work there.
Thank you.
And I want to know because in the beginning of the movie, it says the story is inspired by real lives. So, were you inspired by any real case?
Yes, actually, the film is inspired or based on several true people, and every character is more or less based on a real existing person or more than one person,
Yes.
except for the narrator. She is completely fictional, a character that I made up. But aside from that, everyone is based on real people.
Nice. And was there a movie that inspired you in this process?
There's a bunch of movies that I watched in preparation, which I just generally like as movies. I think one of the ones that had the biggest impact on the movie I made is a movie called Margin Call with
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Spacey and a lot of great actors. And it was more of an impact in, say, how they depict the financial industry without dumbing it down, without trying to lower the intellect, and actually inviting you as an audience member to, even though sometimes words get thrown around that you don't understand. So it's like some typical words for the financial industry. They trust that you will follow the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to do the same. And I think another movie that obviously had a big impact is The Big Short, in the way that they actually talk to the lens and make it a little more pop cultural and
Yes.
actually like entertaining to watch.
Yes. While I was watching, I was feeling like the way that they talk in the movie is easier for us. I don't know if it was on
Mhm.
purpose. It
Yeah, I mean that was very much I think what the narrator's job was, to kind of invite you into this world because it's a very complicated world with
yes.
complicated words and its own vocabulary, and not everyone is very knowledgeable when it comes to finances and stocks and stock markets. So I thought, like, especially when I started writing it, the producer that was on board, Fabian, said there's basically two routes we can go. We can try to cover this up as good as possible and say, you don't understand it, but please follow the story anyway, and try to reduce or dumb it down. Or we'll go the completely opposite way and say it's a lot of information that you need, a lot of specific words, a lot of things that
Mhm.
need to be explained to you in order to follow the story. But we're gonna cast an international supermodel to deliver this information to you. Try her to give, you know, cool dialogue that she speaks like a normal person. She's
Mhm.
not
Yes.
explaining it like a dictionary. She's more like a friend that you have. And
She's
I
perfect.
decided to go that way.
She's perfect, and she says like it's a kind of gossip, like
Yeah, I love the actress. She's called Anki Beilke. She's Germany born, but she lives in Hong Kong,
oh,
and
nice.
she did an amazing job. She's a very very nice person, but she has no background in the financial industry. Also, she learned all of that for the movie, and she shot all of this in 2.5 days. So
Oh my
there
God.
was like incredibly little time and a lot of text. And I asked her, "Did you ever have that much text in that short of a time?" And she said, "No." And I shot TV shows in Hong Kong.
I have a question here about her because I really liked the choice of having a narrator during the story. So, how did it come about, and why and why should the story told by a third person who had nothing to do with the story?
Hmm. Actually, I'd like to take credit for having that idea, but the cameraman, Ahmed, had the idea of why don't we tell the story in a way that we, as the makers of this film, completely control the narration and completely control what the audience needs to know and what they don't need to know. And I said, so you're basically like a narration character. He said, oh yeah, I think that's what I mean. Like it's yeah, it's a narration person. And then I thought, oh, this is a really interesting idea. Then I thought, like, who would be a good character to do that? And
Mm-hmm.
then I thought, what about some cleaning personnel within the bank tower? Because she has keys to everywhere.
Yes.
You don't question that she goes everywhere. She knows everyone. She observes a lot. And it also opens this interesting conflict between like a proper worker
Uh-huh.
versus the investment banking elite. Like it's more of a class clash also. So I decided to go like because it's a funny character to have in the film.
Yes. And did you already have any connection with this financial universe? What did you learn from this universe that surprised you? Because I every time that I heard something about this universe, I am always surprised.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I've always had an affection for financial industries. After my high school graduation, for a moment I thought for a second that I might go into the financial sector myself, but I decided to make movies instead. Um, yeah, so yeah, I basically have the same feeling, and that's what's interesting to me about this world is that you always think, now I understood this this world, but then it keeps twisting. And that's a
Hmm.
very interesting, it's a very interesting book that I read in preparation for this, called Beer and Loathing in the Square Mile by
Oh, nice.
Gerard Anderson. And basically, it's written by a guy in England that had like no background in the financial industry at all. He was some hippie that just kind of coincidentally got a job at a bank. And his friend told him, this and this is what you have to say in the job interview, and then you'll get it. And so he went to the job interview, which was in a bar. It's funny enough.
Uh-huh.
And he talked to the guy, and they had like chit chat and bullshit conversation. And then after like 20 minutes, he came up with what his friend wanted him to say. And it seemed to work. And then the next day, he got kind of a callback. And then I thought, okay, now I understand this world, how it works, how you get the jobs. But then, so supposedly the next day, the big boss called him in and said, you had the job after 5 minutes. I
Is this
know
a,
you can.
is this a true story?
Yeah, yeah, it's a true story. And he said, like, you had the job after 5 minutes because I noticed you can trash talk good. Like you have no idea what you're saying, but I believe you, and that's what we need. But once you came up with this bullshit that you were supposed to tell, you almost fucked it up again. Like, don't pretend to know shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just trash talk people into buying into you. That's what you have to do. Then I realized, okay, that's how it works. So that's what's interesting to me about the financial world. There's constantly twists and turns where you think, okay, now I understand how these people
Yeah.
function.
I have the feeling that these people are always like acting in some ways,
Yeah,
always like pretending, like I don't know. And the
very much.
film uses the comedy genre a lot. So do you consider it a criticism of this universe, and how?
I think it criticizes a subplot of the financial world, which is the story of a rogue trader, which is basically why I came up with this phrase that you mentioned earlier, based on true lies. Because I always thought this story of a rogue trader is a lie, where the banks say it's this one individual, he went crazy. We didn't know anything about it. We had nothing to do with it. It was him alone. So I thought this lie being told by the banks, which is happily picked up by the media afterwards because they like to portray these people as like the antichrist. Like, ah, look at these crazy people losing that much money. That was all lies, and that at least that needs to be criticized. I'm not gonna say the traders they are angels. They have no moral conflicts whatsoever. I'm sure they all know they're not working for charity. But at least as the tale of a rogue trader is concerned, I thought this lie is what I will criticize with the film.
And what will financial market fans like to see in this movie?
I mean, hopefully they'll try to see an entertaining story first and foremost. I think I'm interested in the world, but first and foremost, I think it should be an entertaining story to watch.
Yes.
But the movie has aired in Germany on a big TV station. And basically, the feedback we got often was from people who had no interest in the financial world, where they said, I don't know anything about finance. I don't care about banks, but I could understand this film. And I seem to understand what went down. And that's when I was like, okay, then we did our job well.
That's supposed to be my next question because I would like to ask you about the people who don't understand anything, like what they were gonna like to see in the movie.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's easy to put yourself into the shoes of the main character. So I think even if you are not interested in the financial world, I think it's easy to have empathy for a person that comes into a new position and wants to do well and wants to repay the trust that was being put into you. And then when they kind of more and more push you towards a direction that is only achievable if you break some rules, that these people tend to, okay, maybe I'll just do it for now, but and then I'll stop. But then once you're in, it starts snowballing and you can't get out again. So I think the same story could happen in a normal company, so to say, and it would still be the same story. So I think even people who are not super interested in banks or Wall Street or whatever, hopefully they can understand the human dynamic behind it.
True. So, and to finish this interview, I saw that you posted on your Instagram saying that you didn't expect the film to be spoken in Portuguese. How do
Yeah,
you feel about your work reaching so many places around the world?
it's crazy. I mean, I don't know how much you know about the making of this film, but it's my thesis film in film school here in Germany. So it's basically made with a fraction of what a normal movie would have in terms of money and shooting days. So I thought if 10,000 people will watch this film, it'll be a great success. And I
Nice.
think now we're up to like 5 million, and it's crazy. Crazy to even have seen the movie being translated because we shot in English. And the TV station in Germany said, we love it. We will give you a little bit more extra money, but then you will have to dub it into German. And I
Nice.
thought like, wow, that would be so interesting to see how that all happens. And then I was in the dubbing process for the German synchronized version. I was like, wow, that's very entertaining to see, and what a life fulfilling moment. Um, and I thought, okay, that's probably that, and it was great success. But then the world distributor came on board, and they said, I think we can really put this to South America in a big way. And they got translated into Portuguese and Spanish. And I was like, this is just getting crazier and crazier. And by now I speak a little Portuguese because my girlfriend
Seriously?
is Brazilian.
What do you speak in Portuguese?
Eu falo um pouco.
Ah, muito bom.
Eu estudo com Duolingo.
Ah, nice. Do you think is it easy?
I mean, I always had a good ear for Spanish. because
Ah,
I've
nice.
been to Spain a lot of times, but people told me like, yeah, it's very much like Spanish, but I don't think it's it's like
Oh,
Spanish at
it's
all.
not.
I think
Some
it's
words
very
are
different.
quite similar, but different. And the main actor of the movie is Portuguese, from Portugal,
Yes,
right?
he's partly Portuguese, Paulo.
Ah,
I
nice.
never
Because
really quite understood his status, but I think he has a Portuguese passport, but lives in the UK.
uh, his name is so Brazilian. When I saw his name, I thought, "Oh, is he Brazilian?" And I was searching
Yeah,
about him.
yeah. Unfortunately, no links to Brazil.
No links, yes. And what do you know about Brazil? Have you ever come here?
I will come in November, end of November, beginning of December. I'll go to Rio. I'll go to Foz do Iguaçu, and then Florianopolis, Curitiba, and then back to Europe. But I know we had some Brazilian culture in school here in Germany. So I
Nice.
know about, I had to do a little presentation once about Brasilia, about the capital, about
Uh-huh.
Oscar Niemeyer, the architect that built it.
Nice. You,
So
you know a lot of things.
I know a little bit, but it will be my first time in Brazil at the end of the year. But I'm really looking forward to it.
So please, I would like you to invite people to watch your movie on Look. Yeah, you can say as you feel comfortable.
Yes, but it's really nice. I hope that a lot of people watch it because it's amazing to me to see the characters speak Portuguese. The parents of my girlfriend only speak Portuguese. They don't speak any English, also. So they had to wait for this Portuguese dub version to come out until they could watch it. And then they've
And
seen it, and I was like, oh my God.
and to finish, here in Brazil, the name of the movie is A Grande Fraude. And why the guys have to watch A Grande Fraude in your opinion?
Oof, that's a good question. I think hopefully it will just be an entertaining ride. I mean, especially the people in Sao Paulo. I heard that's what's kind of your financial capital of the city. Especially the people in Sao Paulo should watch it to be careful not to do the same.
Thank you, David, so much, and have a nice trip to Brazil when you come.
Thank you. I will. I will post some pictures on Instagram.
I'm gonna see it. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you. Have a nice day.